Welcome back, everyone. We are now ready to kick off this event with Arvid Söderhäll, CEO of Empros Pharma. Welcome, Arvid.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here at this day and give the opportunity to present Empros Pharma and our drug products that we are developing now. So Empros Pharma, we are developing a convenient and safe treatment of obesity. And we have just recently got robust proof of concept data, and we're ready for pivotal trials. We also carried out the market research investigation telling us that this drug product does indeed have a blockbuster potential. So what is this all about? The investment highlights in this asset is that we have now demonstrated that we have a de-risked drug product in pipeline, and de-risked in the sense that it's de-risked from a clinical perspective and from a technical perspective. We can claim that it's de-risked because we have now achieved efficacy data that are more than 5% placebo-adjusted weight loss after 6 months of treatment. And this is sufficient. The FDA requires 5% placebo-adjusted weight loss after 12 months, but we reached this level already after 6 months. So we are targeting more than 7% placebo-adjusted weight loss after 12 months. Moreover, the EMP16 drug product is based on 2 well-established drugs that's been on the market for ages and used by millions of patients. And we are now clear that the FDA allows us a 505(b)(2) application route, which means that we can bridge the entire safety from the original drug products. So we don't the pivotal trials that we're going to carry out, we get a huge discount on the size of those pivotal trials. EMP16 has a superior product profile in the sense that we do now know that it is a safe drug, it is an oral drug, and we have also fantastic tolerability data. And this is distinct to what's on the market right now. The current market-leading drugs, the Novo Nordisk drugs, they are daily injections. Obviously, we have a huge benefit in the convenience of having an oral drug product, and we are on the same efficacy level as Saxenda. Moreover, we have also seen now from the market investigation that we've carried out that EMP16 has a blockbuster potential. And we have carried out market research interviewing 33 experts around the globe, so key opinion leaders, prescribers, and payers. Based on the secondary research in that, they come to the conclusion that we are certainly in the blockbuster potential. We have a blockbuster potential asset here. What we are trying to achieve with this investment round that we're doing right now is to get fully financed on the entire clinical program and then the remainder of the technical development. So we are seeking to take on all the development risks in this asset. This would put us in a position that we have an NDA-ready project, and we will, with that asset, go and seek partners. So when we close the financing round and can start the development, the clinical and pharmaceutical development for the pivotal trials, we can go out and seek the marketing partners. Empros is a fairly small company, and we have no ambition to develop a huge marketing organization to market an obesity drug product, obviously. So it makes perfect sense to do this in collaboration with a partner. So that is kind of our objectives. So let's jump to the data, which is kind of the driver behind this whole thing that we got. So this is data that on the left-hand side of the slide, this is data that we got this spring now. So you see, this is the weight loss after 26 weeks of treatment using EMP16. We tested two different doses of EMP16. And you see very nice dose-response relationship there, and you also see the placebo. So it's obviously super significant. There's no discussion that this works. The data is on par with what Saxenda delivers from efficacy point of view. What we also have seen in this clinical trial is that EMP16 delivers also a significantly improved quality of life. And that is of major importance when it comes to drug products, obesity drug products, because they are most of them are associated with various types of tolerability problems. And we are in a position now we have significantly improved the quality of life. On the right-hand side, this is the forecast as estimated by Health Advances in this market research investigation. You see that the big market, the most valuable market, is obviously the US market. This is well known. So the scenario that you see here, that's the base scenario. There's a couple of big trends. I will get to that later on in the presentation, how the obesity market is now developing. But before we get to that, I would like to give you just a short presentation of the company. So it's a fantastic group of people to work with here now. So on the slide here you see Tobias Hägglöf just joined us as CFO. He was the colleague of Thomas Sellered at Recipharm, being the CFO at Recipharm up until recently. My chairman, Eugene Steiner, he's a real nestor when it comes to Scandinavian life science, and he's been around for more than 35 years. Have had operational position as CEO in several companies. He's sitting in the board in several companies now, and he's also got a background from HealthCap, being a partner at HealthCap. So he's got a fantastic experience from this field. Then we have Carl-Johan Spak, together alongside with Thomas Sellered. They represent Flerie Invest. Flerie Invest is the main shareholder in Empros now. So Carl-Johan, he's sitting on the chair of Flerie Invest in the board. Flerie Invest is now owned by Thomas Sellered. I guess that quite a few of you are quite familiar with Thomas Sellered. He's the founder and former CEO of Recipharm, and he's a true entrepreneur. He founded Recipharm and he built it up to a fantastic success. And this was now recently acquired, as you probably knew, by EQT this spring. Last but not least, I would like to point out Milan Zdrakovic and Anne Block Thomsen. Both Anne and Milan, they have a background from Novo Nordisk. They were taking part in the development of the current market leader, Saxenda. So Anne and Milan, they are kind of representing the solid scientific as well as medicinal competence and knowledge about obesity drug products development. A few words about the founding of the company. It was founded in 2013, carried out the first clinical trial in 2016 and 17, the second clinical trial in 2020, 2021. We've had regular communications with the authorities, and we're now ready to go for the pivotal program. So, what is happening in the obesity drug market? There's been a couple of changes over the last decades. One of the first changes is that society now realizes that this is a huge cost that the society cannot just ignore. It represents so much that the society is now starting to act on this. Moreover, obesity is now regarded as a disease. It's a hormonal-driven disease that can be treated by medications. And medications are now starting to appear. So what has happened is that the society in general, represented by politicians starting to reimburse obesity drug products, etc. The prescribers or the physicians, they also started to understand that obesity can actually be treated by medications. And also patients start to understand that there are actually support in their struggle for losing weight. So what about EMP16 then? What have we done? EMP16 is based on Orlistat and Acarbose. Orlistat and Acarbose have been around for ages. They are nice drug products, but they have some drawbacks that impairs the use of the drugs. What they are doing, they are locally active, acting only in the gastrointestinal tract, and they are blocking out the enzymes digesting fat and carbohydrates in the gastrointestinal tract. So the idea that we came up with, or rather one of the inventors behind Empros came up with, what if you actually you could take those two drug products, formulate them in such a way that you kind of deliver nutrition further down into the small intestine. If you're able to do that, to deliver nutrition to the lower part of the small intestine, then you can trigger the endogenous hormone response, bringing you satiety, and thereby losing weight. And that would, in a way, mimic a pharmaceutical gastric bypass. So this is the way that we've done it. We have taken orlistat and acarbose, formulated them into an oral capsule. We have 3 different granules, G1, G2, and G3. And they are release their API throughout the gastrointestinal tract in this pattern. So for example, G1 containing only acarbose. There's no release of acarbose in the very first part in the stomach, and then after about 30 minutes, it increases the release of the API, and thereby we're reducing flatulence problems. The second problem, the second granule, G2, contains both orlistat and acarbose. There's no API release in the stomach, and then when the granule leaves the stomach together with the food, then there's a burst of release of APIs. And the third granule continues to kind of protect the nutrition from being degraded and thereby triggering this endogenous hormone response. So we have carried out two clinical trials so far. The first one, a 2-week safety trial demonstrating the safety. The second clinical trial, a 26 weeks efficacy trial, the proof of concept one. According to the FDA, we have basically 2 remaining big trials left, the EP003 and EP005. They're both 1-year trials comprising approximately 300 patients each. The first trial, EP003, is on obese individuals without type 2 diabetes, and the third one, this EP005, is obese patient with type 2 diabetes. We have to distinguish those two in separate groups. So bear in mind that there's only 300 patients in each of those 2 pivotal trials. If this would have been a new chemical entity, there would rather be 3,000 patients in each trial. And this is something that the FDA has already accepted. So the data, the first, this proof of concept trial that we carried out, as I mentioned, was 2 different arms of EMP16, 6 weeks of run-in, 20 weeks of full treatment, and there you see this wonderful data coming out. With regards to tolerability and safety, we have fantastic data on the secondary endpoints showing that we have an improved quality of life on several aspects monitored by questionnaires, and we've also reduced tolerability problems as compared to the original drug products, and we also don't have any problem with things like nausea and vomiting, etc., which is commonly associated with hormonal medications. The safety trial that we carried out, that was a 2-week trial, in total 67 patients. This was a head-to-head comparison to Xenical, which demonstrate that we have an improved tolerability compared to Xenical, we have a reduced hunger compared to Xenical, and we have an improved glycemic control. The most important data point that we get from this clinical trial is the one in the 4th question, how we monitored tolerability. So Xenical has problems with fecal incontinence. Thank you, David. Fecal incontinence, and these problems is basically eradicated using EMP16. So in this trial, we had 17 patients in total on Xenical and 50 patients on EMP16, and still no signal. So we can fairly claim that we have, as compared to the current drugs on the market, we have an improved tolerability, we have an improved safety, and we have an improved compliance as compared to basically all of the drug products on the market as of today. The market as of today is completely dominated by Saxenda, which is one of the Novo Nordisk drug products. There's a follow-up called Wegovy coming in on the market now, which is expected to drive the market ahead. So we have a huge market expansion ahead of us. The factors that are driving the market ahead of us right now, it's basically 3 things. There's a growth of the reimbursement system. So reimbursement is becoming more and more established so for example in Finland, Saxenda was reimbursed just a couple of months ago. It's coming into Germany. Medicare, Medicaid is starting to reimburse obesity medications as well. So that is one of the main drivers. Another main driver is the expansion of the the pipeline. So all the big pharmas are now having several obesity drug products in their pipeline. And the third factor, which is kind of driving the market ahead of us, is the changing mindset amongst physicians, amongst patients, and also amongst key opinion leaders, that obesity is indeed a disease that could be treated using medication. So these three factors together are kind of driving the market, and we don't see the Novo Nordisk drugs or the Pfizer drugs Eli Lilly drugs coming into the market as competitors. We rather see them as kind of groundbreakers, and they're building this entire market. And what Health Advances came up with regards to revenue and forecast, we see these numbers ahead of us. And the base assumption here is that we will continue to have less than 1% of all obese individuals will actually get prescription drugs. So there's a huge untapped market here. And we believe that EMP16 will fill a unique market position where we can target modestly obese patients rather than not only the morbidly obese patients. If the market proceeds if the reimbursement system continues to develop, as it is right now, we will see that we can reach pretty much higher revenues in the long run as well. So this is kind of where we are with this asset. We have a blockbuster potential, we have a de-risked asset, and we have a superior product profile. So last but not least, I would just say a few words. We can take that to the question. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Arvid, for a very interesting presentation. I would like to pick up the Q&A where you left off here with the market and the paradigm shift to recognize obesity as a disease. And let's focus perhaps a little bit more than in this question on the US, because since you mentioned yourself, it's the biggest market. What can you tell us about the specific US market when it comes to recognizing obesity as a disease?
Yeah, I mean, what is seen on the US market now is that, first of all, the reimbursement system is coming into play there. So larger and larger part of the society understand that this is a problem that has to be solved, and we have to use all the tools in the toolbox. And obviously, medication is one of those tools. The current paradigm when it comes to obesity treatment right nowadays are those hormonal injections. So those that are the most promising drugs on the market now and in the pipeline, they are hormonal injections that are stimulating this satiety response. So what we believe that we can do is EMP16 is in a way also hormonal medication, but we are triggering the endogenous hormone response. So not the exogenous, but endogenous hormones that we're triggering.
The body's own hormones.
The body's own hormones, exactly. So by delivering nutrition far down into the small intestine, it started to release, so the body in itself started to release those satiety hormones. So you're basically becoming more full of the same type of meal.
I see. Thank you. And my next question was actually also about the specifics of EMP16, because there's a dozen candidates perhaps in the global pipeline, and what makes EMP16 different from those, and as well as the current market-leading daily injectable drug. You touched upon that just now, but perhaps you could say a few more words.
There are a couple of major differences. We have this endogenous versus injected hormones. So that is a main difference. But EMP16 is also, it is based on two drugs that has been on the market for decades and used by millions of patients. And there's no discussion we are safe. So even the FDA has they've given us a clearance that we basically cannot fail due to safety. Whereas the injections, they have cancerogenic warnings on the labels, they have an increased suicidal behaviors, etc. So they are not that safe, simply. So EMP16 has a huge benefit of being a safe drug product. This means that we can also target modestly obese individuals from a BMI at 30 and above, whereas the daily injections, they're rather targeting obese patients starting at basically BMI of 35 and above. So there's a huge market, there is a huge patient population who is obese but not morbidly obese, and we are certainly targeting that type of market because we have this safety profile.
I see. And also, besides safety, there's an excellent tolerability profile. And you also touched upon this in your presentation, but I don't think all of our viewers know to what extent how important that was, the tolerability, because most, or at least many, I would say, professional investors that I have spoken to, they view obesity as basically a graveyard market, and also referring to Xenical, of course. And perhaps you could just repeat and also emphasize a bit more why that is and why you don't fit the graveyard future description.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So Xenical is in principle a good drug. It works, and it doesn't work tremendously well with regards to efficacy, but at least it works. But the main problem is the fecal incontinence, and that is a tolerability problem, which is in principle not dangerous. It's not like cancer. If you stop taking Xenical, you will stop have the fecal incontinence. But still, it's a killer. It's really a killer. So that is kind of one of the main things that we investigated in the first clinical trial to really make sure that we quelled that problem, so that EMP16 does not give you any of those fecal incontinence problem. And when you look on the other drugs on the market, they are associated with nausea and vomiting, etc. This comes along with it. This is the whole idea with an obesity drug product, to make you feel a little bit ill, so you don't, to kind of push down the hunger. And it's kind of a balance. How bad can you feel and still continue to take the drug product? And the more ill you feel, basically the less you eat and the more you lose weight. So that is kind of the mechanism of action in a sense as well. And we don't have that problem. It's an endogenous satiety response. So you just feel more comfortable with it.
Okay. I think on that note, we will end the Q&A. Thank you very much once again, Arvid, and good luck on your journey.
Thank you very much, David. Pleasure to be here.